All right, guys. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Thanks for coming on this rainy Sunday and spending some time with us for the nutrition seminar. Just by a show of hands, who is doing the Lou Wrong challenge? One of my clients are. Okay, cool. And just by a show of hands, also, is this your first one? Okay, cool. So I'm always kind of fascinated with nutrition. Been to a lot of nutrition seminars myself. Within certifying with personal training and getting a lot of hands-on experience with clients, and just kind of hearing different approaches to nutrition. And it seems that there's so much information out there nowadays, and it's kind of like the more you know, the less you understand. You know, green tea's good, green tea's bad, white rice, brown rice, you know, this and that. So once I really started diving into there and getting more application and practical into nutrition, what I kind of did was take a step back and go to the basics. And once I started kind of learning about nutrition and how nutrition is used by the body based on your goals and based on your workouts and genetics and everything else, it's kind of comes down to like there is one no diet that fits everybody. So we can say, you know, you can do paleo diet, you know, some of you might work, some of you might not work, Mediterranean diet, whatever it is. However, you do see a lot of people lose a lot of weight or get to their goals the first time they do that diet. But normally when we see a diet, it's just something that's kind of like a 4, 6, 8 week program, and you kind of starve yourself, or not starve yourself, but deprive yourself based on the guidelines of that diet. And then what I've seen in my past is that most people rebound, gain that weight back, and then maybe even end some. And then what happens is when you go back to that diet, you've been eating like crap, you go back to that diet, you get good results the first time, and then that second time you don't get as good results based on the way your body's function, and your body's just a little bit smarter now that you starved yourself or deprived yourself, your body's holding on to fat or holding on to weight in response to that trauma that you're almost putting onto your body. So once I started getting into nutrition with my clients, prescribing meal plans, proteins, carbs, fats, all that kind of stuff, what I kind of realized is that just based on school and textbooks, that working with clients and actual people, they're not robots, and they're real people, and they talk and they move and they have objections, and they won't eat this, they won't eat that, and they fight back and they agree to some stuff. So it's real life nutrition. It's not like, hey, you know, 3 ounces of chicken in the morning, 2 ounces of sweet potato, like step by step, like piece by piece. So what we want to do is kind of take a step back. We will touch on everything, but take a step back and approach nutrition, but not dieting, in a sustainable and longevity approach, based on, once again, your goals and the type of workouts you're doing, right? So, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we're going to do today. So our agenda today, I'm going to talk about the importance of digestion and gut health, water intake, nutrients and water important. This is what Katie's going to be talking about. Know your body and portion control as calories versus macronutrients. And I'm going to get into planning based on early morning workouts, afternoon workouts. So I'll give you an example of myself, and then evening workouts. Just kind of some considerations to take into. And I'm not going to give you a template like, hey, here, do this, but just some things to think about and make it realistic for what works best for you. Katie's going to talk about some inflammation issues, and I'm going to talk about the piece between longevity and performance. And basically what I like to do is break that down. Either you're an athlete or a wannabe athlete. And based on what approach you take, then there's kind of differences in nutrition and workouts. So it's my background. Looks fancy, but it's not really too fancy. A couple certifications. Precision Nutrition is a nutrition certification that I'm certified through. It's, I would say, the top nutrition certification based on health coaches and personal trainers. There isn't any type of degree or that, but it is basically like a college master's level course in nutrition and application of nutrition. They're located out of Canada, so you guys ever want to check them out, they got a lot of good stuff. OPEX, you guys probably have seen this label on or this logo on our shirt. It was me, Jay, Julie, Anna, and Katie in gym. Great program run by Jane Fitzgerald down in Arizona. So Jay and I are currently going through the 5 modules that they have. So that really has opened up my eyes a lot based on nutrition. And we'll get into that. Polyquin is, I'm not certified through Polyquin, but I probably read every single article and newsletter that Polyquin ever came out of. They're based in Warwick, Rhode Island. It's like a big bodybuilder dude, but it's applicable to the general population. Good stuff. This is my logo, probably the first time that anybody's ever seen it, including my clients. Functional fitness and transformation. I honestly just kind of needed to write an LLC real quick so I could start paying for taxes and just kind of do something together. So it's kind of basic right there.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Katie. I don't have all these fancy things that Matt had when I was putting the slide together. I was actually teasing Matt. I was like, I don't really have all these fun things. However, a little piece of who I am. For the past 2.5 years, have been getting my master's in applied clinical nutrition, and I graduate in April. So like, I want to add on to what Matt was saying earlier about nutrition and lifestyle and dieting. You know, my journey started off like 4 years ago, and I embarked on one of those paleo challenges, and it was very successful for me, and I loved it, but I became obsessed with what not to eat versus what to eat. Right? And through the journey of my nutrition and my schooling, we learn about it's a lifestyle. It's not about dieting, it's a lifestyle, you know? All of our bodies are built pretty much the same way. We might function differently in some areas, but at the end of the day, we're all built to have the same certain nutrients, and you know, you specify that based upon your goals, okay? But yeah, so I graduate in April with my master's in nutrition. I'm super pumped about that. On top of that, throughout my journey of all of nutrition, I started a food blog ancient years ago, it feels like at this point, which I know you guys probably see with Jay's monthly newsletter, thanks Jay, that I host the recipe of the month. So I have my degree and I have my food blog, and that's pretty much it. So that's
Like grounded quinoa into flour and big pancakes and something crazy.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but I did.
Oh, I was saying.
Can I ground quinoa into flour and make pancakes? I did. It needs some tweaking. It was really good. It needs some tweaking, but it was good. That might be the new recipe of the month.
Did it work?
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
This was kind of thrown in there last minute, actually last night. I saw something that my friend posted on Facebook, and it kind of leads into what I want to talk to you about. Based on major food companies and drink companies and the way they produce food and the way they sell drinks, and the kind of like the business and the sketchiness behind the politicians and the money. So just kind of create some awareness on that. This is a Coca-Cola commercial, but if it was 100% honest, but based on like the commercials that they show, but if they're like actually speaking the truth. Hopefully it will be loud enough.
Yeah, hold on.
You have to turn on that. Isn't it the video itself?
Check the volume on the video.
Settings.
Yeah.
Sometimes it mutes itself. See that?
Technical difficulties.
Quick commercial break.
Do you have speakers on the TV?
So based on our backgrounds, I think me and Katie get a good combination because she has the education and the master's in nutrition. I don't have that education, but I do have more hands-on experience based on real life scenarios with clientele.
risks people. For over 125 years, we've been bringing people together. Today we'd like to come together on something that concerns all of us: obesity. The long-term health of our families and the country are at stake, and as the nation's leading beverage company, we have played an important role. Across our portfolio of over 650 beverages, we now offer 180 low and no-calorie choices. These diet beverages still pose serious health risks. Even though we've reduced the calories per serving, these beverages can still cause kidney problems, obesity, metabolic syndrome, cell damage, and rotting teeth, which leaves 470 beverages which have extremely high, unhealthy levels of calories. Consuming large amounts of rapidly digested sugar and high fructose corn syrup causes a spike in blood sugar and insulin, which can lead to inflammation and insulin resistance, both of which may increase your risk of stroke, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and cancer. Coke has also been known to accelerate aging and cause high cholesterol. The American Heart Association recommends consuming no more than 450 calories from sugar-sweetened beverages per week, the amount in about 3 cans of soda. Imagine if cigarette companies said they were doing something responsible to protect you. How would you react to that? Beating obesity will take action by all of us, based on one simple, common sense fact. All calories are not the same, and the calories in Coca-Cola products have no nutritional value. If you choose to live a healthy lifestyle, then you should not be drinking any of our products. If you drink Coke, you'll get fatter and fatter. The solution is simple, and it's right in front of your eyes. Don't drink Coke. It's killing you and your family. Coca-Cola. We're partially responsible for America's obesity problem.
Yeah, they do a good job advertising on that. How do I open this?
I'm coming.
A little aggressive on that with like the whole fatter and fatter thing, but just kind of get the concept of the sugar and the Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola actually has 80% contracted 80% of the school systems in the United States based on cafeteria food for children. Has anybody ever seen Fed Up or Food Inc., the documentaries on Netflix? Okay, cool. So if you guys watch that documentaries, and if you haven't watched those documentaries, I would highly suggest you do. It really gets into depth based on how the food is produced, and Food Inc. gets really into depth into how the food is produced based on pretty much slaughterhouses of cattle and chicken, and kind of throwing everybody all the cattle into enclosed dark rooms, and just it's kind of a lot to take in. So if you're a little grossed out, just be aware of that. But just know that what they're doing to the food is basically the same stuff that most of us are consuming. So whatever they're putting into the chicken and cows, that we're consuming also as well. So just be aware of that. So who are they? And I put they in quotation marks because they are the ones who usually regulate the FDA, or ones that tell us how much food or how much sugar or how much water, whatever it is that we should be consuming. They obviously come from the government, the politicians, but there's a lot of kind of sketchiness behind that. If you guys watch Food Inc. or Fed Up, or if you're not much of a movie watcher, a good book is Salt, Sugar, Fat, and that kind of breaks down the processed foods and how they're actually not really even foods. So the whole concept behind that is that we have more alternatives, low calorie, low fat, healthier alternatives, and more awareness on health and fitness, but people are still getting fatter and people are still getting sicker. So, you know, people want to do the right thing, but what's going on? And it's basically the foods that are being produced, kind of went into that commercial a little bit, that even though you're taking out the fat, you're taking out the sugars, whatever it is, there's something else that has to take place in order for that food to taste good. So if you take out the fat out of a product, it's going to taste like shit, and they know that. So you have to put some type of artificial sweetener or whatever it is in there to combat that taste, so that you guys would actually purchase that product. And in the end, it's all about money. So these companies here are the main players in here. They have the money. They spend on lobbyists, and then those lobbyists convince the government, politicians about making the rules and regulations. And then just a quick example, a quick two examples, actually, me and Julie and Jim were talking about this the other day. In the movie Fed Up, where the government was trying to take control of the food systems for cafeterias and get rid of pizzas and unhealthy food items in the school cafeterias. They're going through on that, and then there's a company out in the Midwest that controls 85% of the pizza within the school system. So obviously, if that went through, they would have pretty much gone out of business, right? So then they had the politicians, lobbyists. They spent, I think, $408 million on these lawyers to fight against this law. So in the end, what happened was that the tomato paste, which is basically a substitute for tomatoes that they use in the pizza, but the tomato paste is a cheaper alternative to actual tomatoes, and it can be produced a lot faster. They approved tomato paste as a vegetable. So as they're saying, yes, we're improving more servings of fruits and vegetables in our school systems. Tomato paste is considered a vegetable technically by the FDA. And also potatoes considered a vegetable, even though tomato's not even a vegetable, it's more of a fruit, but it's still considered a vegetable. So therefore fries and pizza are considered vegetables, right? And also one other thing on that, with the switch to low fat and with the switch to skim, fat free, all that was all food products. We had an excess of cheese in America, so a bunch of cheese, we didn't really know what to do with it, the government didn't know what to do with it, so we manufactured that back out into businesses. And then what you start seeing in the commercials, this was maybe a couple years ago, where you start seeing the commercials, mac and cheese advertisements. You see cheesy this, cheesy that, cheesy bread, Wendy's, McDonald's with a double cheeseburger, and then they push that out. And at the same time, the FDA approves higher standards or higher recommendations for dairy. So instead of the 4 to 5 servings, whatever it is, then it got pushed up to 6 or 7. So now we're thinking, okay, cheese is good. Cheese has calcium, this and that. So and we can get into a whole seminar, whole hour based on that. But these are the main players that are involved in here. And it's not like they're necessarily bad people, but what they're doing is just making everybody sicker and fatter. But the bottom line is to make money, right? So they want to make money and they want to do it the cheapest way they can. And then one other thought on that was the discovery of corn. So instead of grass-fed, where cattle and chickens are going out in the range and everybody's happy, they're playing with the neighbors, eating grass, and there's no antibiotics, whatever it is, they find corn, they put everybody in, and then these big companies, Stonyfield or Tyson is one of the big chicken producers, or Purdue too. And all of these companies decline to interview with these documentaries. So if the farmers who are getting paid 18 grand a year, but the companies are making 500 grand a year off them, if they decline to do whatever the companies tell them, they'll just fire them. They'll find somebody else who will do it, basically do all the dirty work for them. So with the invention of, not the invention, but with the discovery of corn is a fat starch, a big kernel of starch, and through science you can break down corn into a lot of different things, a lot of different chemicals. So
it's cheap.
And very cheap, right? So in your ingredients, corn can be masked up, or artificial sweeteners can be masked up in a ton of different variations. Obviously the high fructose corn syrup was the big one that people are starting to catch on. So now you can also feed your livestock and your fish corn. So not that corn is a bad thing, it's not as nutrient dense, but also kind of putting everybody in, and then the antibiotics and the steroids and the E. coli and everything that comes with it, mad cow disease, obviously has effects too. But basically what the corn does is create that artificial sweetener. So as I've had clients switch from, a yogurt with 20 grams of sugar in it, and they're like, oh, hey, I'm going to go down to 10 grams of sugar, whatever it is. It's like, all right, well, that's good, but just be aware of the ingredients and see what's in it to combat that taste, right? So sometimes maybe even that 20 grams of sugar, which is all natural sugar, may be better than that 10 grams of sugar. But most of us as consumers, or some of us may know that, you see low sugar, and you read a nutrition label, 1 or 2 grams of sugar, to just kind of be aware that there's something going on in the ingredients that sweeten that product. And that sweetener actually does more metabolic damage than actual regular sugar. But it still does the same thing, increasing your insulin and having your body store fat. So as soon as you take that in, your body automatically shuts down fat burning and it goes into fat storing. So something with 1 gram of sugar, artificial sweetener is still going to have that same effect on your blood sugar. Insulin is going to get skyrocketed, and then you're going to store fat and around your organs, belly fat, that type of fat. So Food Inc., Salt, Sugar, Fat is the book, and Fed Up, great documentaries. Short, it's an hour and a half. If you guys ever get a chance, go check it out, and I'll get into a lot more detail. You actually get like fed up at the end. It's kind of great. Yeah. All right. So what I want to do is just kind of like take a step back from nutrition, and what was going on in my own personal journey with prescribing nutrition was giving meal plans and telling people, hey, I do this, you should do that, or assuming my priorities on them, or assuming that what I think works best for them is realistic for them. So if we get anything out of the seminar, basically what we want to do is create something that's sustainable and realistic, and that has some longevity to it. So it's something that you feel comfortable with, and kind of taking away from the mindset of diet and restriction, and just something that you're comfortable with. So the basics, and this goes down to proper digestion of your foods. I know you guys probably heard this like thousands of times in your life, but this is actually something that most people don't do. People are pretty much aware of it for the most part, but like I said, when I started getting into nutrition with my clients, you know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4, 5, 6 months down the road, I'm like, hey, you still sleeping? Enough hours? 6 to 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours? No. Hey, you drinking enough water? No. Are you sitting down and chewing food? No. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter like how much protein, carbs, and fat you're taking in, because if you're not doing the basics, those are kind of like the prerequisites, then it doesn't really matter what I prescribe you, you know? And equivalent to fitness, it's like, hey, I want to do a muscle up, but can you do a strict pull-up? No? Okay, well, we'll get to the muscle ups, but you don't get there until you get the prerequisites, the basics down first. So just kind of think of this as the basics, and just create some awareness around your food patterns next time you guys start to eat. Proper hydration in the mouth, not in the eyes. Making sure, or just being aware that that we're getting enough water. So the recommendation is 8 glasses of water a day, but that's kind of like a general recommendation. You're taking age, gender, you know, genetics, how much you sweat, this and that. So a good recommendation that I have everybody start is their body weight, divide that in half, and that's how many ounces you should get. Right? So this is 17 ounces. I'm 205 pounds. I should have 12 of these a day.
What?
Right?
12?
12 of these a day at 205 pounds. So just kind of be aware of that. Take your body weight, divide it in half, and that's the minimum of water you should be getting. So when we started looking into that, most people are actually nowhere close to that. If not, they're like almost half to where they should be. So just kind of be aware of water intake and start building up to that. And if you're trying to lose weight, then you want to even drink more. And if you're doing high intense workouts and you're sweating a lot, then you want to take in even more, right? So at a minimum.
Matt, so like anything else, you don't want to overdo anything, even water. You know, you don't want to flood your system with water either. You know, so based on that, you should know how much you should consume on a daily. You don't want to overdo it either.
Yeah.
You know, water is important. You need it for a lot of things to break down and function properly in your body. But if you're going to the bathroom and your urine is like clear as clear can be, you know that your body is fully hydrated.
That's not question though, because you can get water, you get hydration out of things other than plain water. Are you saying you should have plain water that much a day plus your other hydration?
Water.
Or like coffee
Yeah, we're talking
down,
about, no, we're talking about
salad?
water. Like,
Green seed doesn't count?
who said that?
Because it's basically water with a tea bag in it. No, doesn't count.
But it's dehydrating.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so, you know, seltzer water, like water was like the little meal drops, whatever, like, no. Like, from what I was prescribed, like, water, simple, basic H2O.
Yeah.
Nothing added to it. Like whatever, just straight water.
I mean, another good add to that is coconut water. I know a lot of you know that I preach coconut water, I do, but you only need really like a cup of coconut water a day. You know, coconut water is full of like natural electrolytes that help replenish, and you know, it's really good for you. We can get into it later, but that's good too. But no, just the basics, just water. That's what you should have. And then if you want your tea or coconut water, whatever, that's an add really to that.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to chime in at any time.
You said no seltzer water, right?
I say no coconut water.
No seltzer. What about seltzer?
Seltzer?
Yeah.
I go off of James. He said no. I'm gonna say no. I don't know any like scientific reasoning behind that, but I'm just gonna say water is water is water, and just be aware of
Your
that.
body doesn't need seltzer water to work, function properly, right?